It's just the second time this season that we head overseas, and we head to Donington Park tonight in what could be a make it or break it round for so many. Tons of points are back on the line. This is round 5 of season 8 in the North American Racing League GT3 series. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Leicestershire, England. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Lindgren alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of NARL GT3 Season 8. Tonight's coverage from Donington Park is brought to you by Muradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. Zach, it's going to be a quick pre-race intro to get everything set for this evening's round here at Donington Park. We were scrambling last minute to get things set, but we're ready to go here for what is going to be a very special round. This is kind of a classic British touring car track. It was formed in the 70s, really well. Was opened in the 30s initially and was kind of formed into its modern form in the 70s when it was reopened in 1977. And boy, it is a fantastic look into what used to be in British motorsport. I think this is a really classic feeling racetrack. It's got a lot of speed. It's got a lot of hang on to the seat of your pants kind of corners. And it's going to be an interesting one for GT3 cars this evening. We've done GT3 cars here before with Pit Stop TV. I don't know that we've done it yet with Donington Park and the North American Racing League together, but we've been to Donington Park before here at the channel. This is a good kind of throwback for us here to get right back down to this racetrack that is just so much fun and puts on some really, really good racing. That's a quick look at the track map. Qualifying is happening in the background. Thorsten Ulrich currently the fastest of the bunch, but while they run their last few laps, Zach, let's talk point standings. Here's a look at the pro side, the Division 1 side, that is. Paulo Godai 51 back because 2 more wins in the bank now for Thorsten Ulrich. He just keeps racking them up.
Yeah, that's a name that we keep referring back to week in and week out. We keep expecting him to either maybe have an off week or anything, but obviously with him being on top of qualifying and having other drivers around him that are starting to contest those times, he just continues to prove week in and week out that he should be the outright points leader, and he's proven it yet again here tonight. And obviously in points, being 50 points up above Paulo Godai, it's a pretty substantial lead, especially heading into the middle part of the season. But as we look at the Division 2, Armando Aaron sits on top of the Division 2 above Dean Kerr, only 2 points in front of Dean Kerr and 10 points above Kevin Peak. This one's going to be a lot closer with Anthony Wayne and Andy Ray Miller, both having the wins inside Division 2, still 10 and 12 back respectively, but a lot closer than Division 1.
And of course, Sven Hartman has a win from Charlotte last week, so he's now in that win column. But yeah, it's very much Anthony Wayne, Andy Ray Miller as far as the top winners. They're going for the points lead now, and it'll be interesting to see how things change over the course of the evening. But drivers to watch would be your entire top 5: Aarons, Kerr, Peak, Wayand, and Miller. As qualifying comes to a close, we can get into the iRacing.com sim. And the first thing I want to talk about here, Zach, is actually going to be the weather conditions, as we have got a race weather of 73.2 degrees ambient temp. That is, of course, Fahrenheit, 88 degrees Fahrenheit track temp. That's pretty warm for Britain, I gotta say, for England. That's a little bit on the toastier side, but mostly cloudy skies should give these guys intermittent breaks from the heat, and humidity, winds, those aren't too crazy, pretty much where you would expect them. Really, the only thing is there's a very slightly elevated track temperature with some cloudy skies above the racetrack. But let's get down to it. We've got the sprint race coming up first, of course. Let's meet the Lucky Performance starting grid. It's going to be a fast run to the green flag. Thorsten Ulrich, Yannick Steinhoff, your front row, followed up by Paulo Godai and Francesco Antonicelli. Starting 5th, it'll be David Schwartz. 6th, Miguel Colon. 7th, Johan Flamen. 8th, Adrian Allstar. Back in 9th and 10th, Tomek Jankowski and Scott Reister.
Following them, Eduardo Pecorini and Sam Soyd will be 11th and 12th. Scott Kimbrough and Andy Ray Miller will lead off. Right behind them, 13th to 14th, Andy Ray Miller, P1 for Division 2. Ricardo Delgado, 15th. Lucas Souza, 16th. Chris Winstone will be starting at P17. Sven Hartman, 18th. Jose DeLeo and Alex DeMarco, 19th and 20th.
Starting 21st is Armando Aarons. 22nd will be Dean Kerr. Those are your top two in the standings in Division Number 2. Edgar Ruiz from 23rd spot. Thomas Rayleigh from 24th. Back at 25th, it'll be Billy Bowerman, followed up by Kevin Peake in 26th. Then Anthony Way and Joshua Benjamin, Christian Gritzko, and Mark Booley, your top 30, followed up only by Jake Browder and Bob Guadagnoli. That is your 32-car field here this evening. They will roll off from the starting grid. There they go. And get ready for the sprint race here this evening. Whiplash SimCam's race details look like this. This is, of course, the 20-minute sprint race following the 60-minute practice and 10-minute qualifying session. This has a fixed setup, 45% fuel, 15x incident limit, and penalties every 5 thereafter as they work down into the Melbourne hairpin. I'm excited. Zach, are you?
Oh, I'm very excited. Like we were talking about pre or post race last week, this is the first time I get to see this kind of track and this kind of track in action. So I'm very excited to see how NARL decides to tackle this.
Yeah, again, this is a kind of classic British racing track, a little different from what you see across the rest of the world. It follows the lay of the land. It's got some great corners around it. Let's go racing this evening. Let's turn the music down and turn the engines up and get after it here at Donington Park. We are green flag at England with already a mistake at the back. Two by two down the Craner curves to the old hairpin at turn number 4. Single file now through the 4th corner, and everybody looks like they've found their footing so far.
That was one of the things that I wanted to highlight a little bit, Andrew, about corners pretty much 1 through 7, 1 through 8, with how flowy and how quick this track looked to be. It's going to be difficult to go side by side. These guys lined it out pretty quickly, trying to get their footing, make sure that they don't really mess up. And another thing that we got to keep an eye on here is kind of cold tires. We already saw a little bit of a mix up there at the back at the start of the race, just because probably somebody was trying to get on the throttle just a little bit too hard. So cold tires still probably at play.
Into the S's or the chicane there for the first time. Great look as the cars go right over you there, right into your living room. Everybody fanning out, single filing out into the Melbourne hairpin now. Single file through and through. That car that we saw have an issue there at the green flag was Ricardo Delgado. He has continued on, although he is a little further back than he would like to be. Ricardo sitting back in, I'm looking for him. I actually don't see him now, but that's okay. Here we go, out of the final corner for lap number 1, and a pretty clean way to get this race started.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some guys try to go 2 by 2 there for a little bit. They were able to line it out. Looked like the right SimSport teammates of Adrian Olshar and Johan Flyman were kind of going at it, with Miguel Colon kind of mixed into the battle right there a little bit. So these guys were able to get it sorted out a little bit as we ride here with Thomas Rayleigh. A little bit further back than what we were used to seeing Rayleigh here. I wonder if he had some sort of issue.
Yeah, we saw the tail end of it there. This is going to be with Edgar Ruiz, it looks like. One car loose, that was Edgar Souza. Contact for the car on the right side, I believe that was Aaron's. And it looks like maybe Kimbrough around in the background, maybe somebody else, I'm not sure. But then this is the final corner of lap 1. Rayleigh gets loose, spins around, Ruiz is there.
Really nowhere for Ruiz to go. This is a very, we had a car also sideways right in front of them. This track looks to be a very, very narrow track with little to no runoff, so these guys have to be precise with their line. So if they're gonna battle, they've got to make sure they know where they are out on track as far as if they're in a difficult spot or not. Right there, Rayleigh was just on the outside, try to get back into the throttle, nowhere for Ruiz to go.
There were problems there for Jose De Leo. That was that gray Mercedes that was turned around out of the final quarter. Here's what happened to him. He was right behind Sven Hartmann, lit it up out of the final corner and just got loose. So that's cold tires, Zach. I mean, we've seen that from multiple drivers. 2 drivers spinning pretty much identically out of the final corner on lap 1, just getting a little bit tail happy, a little too much throttle down, a little bit too early maybe, and cold tires bringing them around. But at the front of the field, things are single file. Thorsten Ulrich, surprise, surprise, leading the way by a second over Paulo Godai.
One of the things that I kind of want to highlight here is Paulo Godai being sitting in second place right here. Thorsten Ulrich hasn't really ran away, but Paulo Godai here being able to keep within a second. Yannick Steinhoff and Thorsten Ulrich were the two fastest cars in practice, but Paulo Gadai was pretty much right on their times. He didn't have the position as far as practice-wise, but he has the position as far as heat race-wise. So right now, I think that's a name that we kind of got to watch here. Probably be an upset for Thorsten Ulrich. Thorsten has, pretty much 2 full race wins now, both heat and feature. So this might be an upset waiting to happen here for Thorsten Ulrich if Paulo Gadai can get into some sort of position to pass.
It's all McLarens out front, and yes, Paulo Gadai is sitting in second. It's interesting too, Zach. We've come to expect these Germans out front. Props to Paulo for being up there, but without a pit stop in this sprint race, I just don't know that he can get there. Like, he doesn't have the same tools at his disposal of using the pit stop to try and game it to get ahead. He's got to go up there outright and just try and pass Thorsten, and that's a very tall order at this point in time. A second on the racetrack at any point in time is pretty tall, especially when he goes fastest on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Tommy Kinkowski, Miguel Colon, Miguel with a big block to turn 1. 3 wide.
Forcing 3 wide there, the 47, and Eduardo Pecorini was looking to the outside, thought better of it, decided to get back in line. Here goes Cologne and Janikowski again. And Janikowski looking to the right side. He's going to be on the outside for a couple corners, has to give it up. Miguel Colon's going to hold position as of right now. Big send. Janikowski into the back of Cologne. I think the stewards are going to have to take a look at that. Cologne has the worst end of it as of right now. Has to get back on track. The stewards immediately hand out a black flag for Janikowski. So Janikowski will have to serve that in the coming laps. Miguel Colon, though, still on the bad end of it all, has to give up a lot of track position and get back going again.
That's interesting. I think if that incident had happened in Redgate in turn 1, that might be looked at differently, because you had that block from Cologne where he kind of moved over on Jankowski. Had that incident happen in turn 1, I think that might be on Miguel, but Jankowski backed out there. And since it happened down in the old hairpin in turn 4 where there wasn't a block, that's definitely on Jankowski. He got into the car that he was trailing, and you'll see it here, that little moment there through the Craner curves, and then right down here to turn 4, Jankowski just kind of runs in the back of Miguel.
Maybe he's expecting Miguel to be just a little bit further on braking. It's all up to speculation on how the drivers see it, on how we see it. So there's really no definite answer until we get a definite answer from the drivers. But I mean, obviously the one thing that we can see, contact and black flag for Janikowski. But back up front, Thorsten Ulrich again leading over Paulo Gadai for about a second and a half, as we see Andy Ray Miller here first in D2 right now. He's running a clean race as of right now. I think he's up here with some of these guys. So Andy Ray Miller right now in a really, really good spot.
Andy Miller looking really, really good. And, he's got that win that we talked about earlier on in the point standings to add to his credit, but only the one so far. He's a little ways down the point standings. Not bad. He's in contention for the championship for sure, but he's going to have to be on his A game so far, bringing it here this evening. He runs in 11th on the racetrack, and it looks like he might even be the first non-McLaren out there on the racetrack, which is pretty impressive as he goes off the track there out of the S's, but pretty impressive to be the top non-McLaren, especially in a Porsche in this day and age in the iRacing GT3 category. So props there to Andy Ray Miller. He is definitely looking good today. Sven Hartmann sits in second in class. There he is in his BMW. And third in division number 2, you have to sync back to Armando Aarons, who we saw there on lap 1 and some of that scuff up as problems for Jankowski. He is into the pit lane. So I say problems, but it makes sense. He's got to serve that penalty.
Yeah, I think this is his penalty served, and maybe right now might be the best chance for him to come down pit road. He's still going to have 10 minutes, which isn't a lot of time out on track, but it's going to give him a chance to get into that flip position, into that, flip position, because the other word escapes me right now, but I think he has a great chance. He's right on board with Johan Flamen here, looking at the tail end of David Schwartz right here. So these guys are really, really close right now. A lot of jostling for position, or not jostling, just battling as far as trying to get into position for battles for position. So Johan Flamen looking to the left side, coming into the S's, thinks better of it, backs out from David Schwartz, but he's still relatively close to him.
Looking around the field, timing and scoring is lit up like a Christmas tree. Battles all over the racetrack. There's one here for Miguel Colon and Chris Winstone. And throw in Armando Aarons as they head down to what looks to be the Melbourne hairpin. Yes, it is. Battle here for about the 15th position on the racetrack. Everybody jostling for spots back here. Miguel Colon drivers left. Armando Aarons drivers right. Side by side. Chris Winstone dives. And that's a tricky corner right there. That final corner here is oh so difficult. You feel like you want to dive into that corner, but the track falls away. You've got to be real careful.
Yeah, I was kind of taking a look at how the drivers were attacking it. Obviously, you do want to be to the as much as to the left as possible, but if you dive in a little bit too hard, you're going to be way out to the right. Like you said, Andrew, the track falls away from you, so it's very, very difficult to try to get the power back down, especially for a very, very important straightaway going into turn one. So, you're not wrong. I feel like that's a very important corner that we got to keep our eye on as both the heat race and the feature starts to loom on us.
Watching here, Armando Aarons, Division II points leader, runs in the 16th spot overall. And, you know, as we get more and more into the points format and everything and into the actual championship battle, Zach, we have to keep reiterating these drivers score points on an overall basis and get split into their classes. So Armando Aarons, he's scoring 16th place points versus Andy Ray Miller scoring 10th place points in this heat race so far. That is a big difference. That's 6 or 7 spots on the racetrack as Andy Ray Miller has moved up ahead of Tommy Kinkowski, who had that penalty. So that is a pretty big help to Andy Ray Miller. Obviously not what Armando Aarons wants to see, as he's at risk of losing this spot, 16th overall, to Chris Winstone, Alex DeMarco, and everybody else. Dean Kerr, second in standings, a few spots back as well. So these guys kind of in that 15th to 20th range. They need to get a move on, especially if they want to flip up to the front end of that feature race for the start. That would be huge for Armando as he sits one spot out of the invert.
I think right now what we're seeing is probably the knowledge of that. Like you were saying, Andrew, that's already a huge points flip from 10th back to 16th. So I think that's why we saw Armando Aarons get a little aggressive there with Miguel Colon, with Chris Winstone, try to gain as many positions as possible. So I think he also knows that that's probably going to be the highlight. That's probably going to be the biggest talking point of this race, is that big point swing that right now Andy Ray Miller has over Armando Aarons. As we come back up here to the front, we see Yannick Steinhoff, or excuse me, Yannick Steinhoff, apologies. On the back end of Paulo Gaday still holding strong in second. He hasn't really let Thorsten get away. Thorsten has been able to pull a little bit more of a gap. The last time we were talking about this battle, it was a second and a half. Now just teetering on that 2 second, but Yannick Steinhoff has yet to find his way around Paulo Gaday, which is not what we're used to. We're used to seeing both Thorsten and Yannick kind of take off with the show. Paulo Gaday here holding strong.
Still watching the top three. It's interesting. Francesco Antonelli looking pretty good today. Did not expect this kind of run out of him, but pleased to see it. He has quickly become a front runner here in the North American Racing League. One of the few drivers we've ever seen out of Italy. Of course, we talk about the Germans out front. Samsoid from the UK, but we don't often see drivers out of Italy. In this case, we do see Francesco Antonelli, so very cool to see a driver from another country in this field. Of course, the North American Racing League is kind of designed for America drivers, whether it's North America, South America. That's what we've seen predominantly in the past. A lot of Brazilians have made their way through the North American Racing League, even some drivers out of Chile and Uruguay and whatnot, Argentina even, but when it comes to going over the pond, we have not seen Italy before that I can recall, so good to see Antonelli here and representing well inside the top 5. And Zach, he could chase down Yannick Steinhoff here for third.
Well, as far as I remember, he does have the fastest lap. I know his name popped up. I don't know if Thorsten or if anybody else has been able to topple his time, but I did see his name pop up as far as quick laps. So it's very, very possible, especially if Yannick can't get around Paulo, or if Paulo starts to mess up a little bit and it starts to check those two up. I feel like Antonelli is in a very, very good spot to pounce on it. He's not too far behind, maybe 3 or 4 car lengths behind Yannick Steinhoff, so a very good drive for him today, as you were saying, Andrew.
Looking around the field, Dean Kerr, Alex DeMarco, side by side nearly as teammates headed down to turn number 1. I've got trauma with Redgate, Zach. That'd be turn 1. I'm going to use some corner names tonight because it's fun. I like using corner names, but turn 1 here at Donington Park. Years ago, Zach, we had a league with Mick Blue in it, and that's the name I could recall. I can't remember the other driver involved, but I know Mick ran a few leagues that we covered. Of course, the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League, Pacific GT3 Series, and it was in the Pacific GT3 Series. They came here to Donington Park. I believe that was our first broadcast ever here at Donington, and there was a big incident in turn 1. Every time these guys dive into that corner, there's just really no track to catch them, and I get scared, man. I get scared they're going to make contact and go flying off into the grass and the gravel. It's just, this track is so deceiving in so many ways. Even here into the S's, it makes you want to send a dive, but you're probably better off sitting back and getting the run out.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, there's really no runoff to any of these corners. There's really no track to take any of the speed to try to carry. You've got to be precise with your line. So if you're going to try to make a pass, you've got to be sure to be precise with it. Both braking, positioning, set yourself up for success. And I think this track is showing here that it's exactly that. You've got to be precise. So leading off into turn 1, this very high speed straightaway coming off into turn 1, this double right-hander. So like you're saying, Andrew, it looks very, very tempting to get into the corner, but it's obviously very, very easy to get out into the sand trap over to the left, as we see the battle yet again between Johan Flamen and David Schwartz. Johan finally have a little bit of positioning on David Schwartz. He's going to have the inside line here for the next few corners. Johan going to be able to take that position. Now it's going to be up to Schwartz if he's going to try to dive it in here to the S's. Johan going to take a defensive line, going to hold off Schwartz for right now. Schwartz looked for a little bit, trying to get out of Johan's mirror, probably get him to mess up. Johan did not miss a step, going to be able to take that position. P6 for Johan.
So a big battle here to move into the top 5 for Johan Flamen. That'll bring Adrian Olshar into the mix. Those Ride Simsport drivers dominating this league lately. Moving up the field, though, Yannick Steinhoff still riding right in behind Paulo Godai. Now, they have not fallen far back of Thorsten Ulrich, but, Zach, I always wonder, when a driver is out front like this, how much are they really showing? How much pace is Thorsten truly showing these guys? Is he saving some for the feature?
And that's one of the things that I did kind of want to bring up, because last week at Charlotte, we were kind of talking to Thorsten before the fact of Charlotte, and he said he didn't really feel comfortable. He didn't really know the track. And then when we got to practice, he was within about a tenth of everybody else. But obviously in the race, he took off. So there might be maybe a little bit of mind games. We're pretty much playing 4D chess. We're playing live chess right now. So Thorsten probably saving a little bit. Paulo Godai might be saving a little bit. There's really no reason to show your full hand as of right now, just because of the invert, because of the flip that's getting ready to happen at the end of the heat race. So right now we could be seeing a little bit of give and check right now, a poker table, if you will, maybe some Texas Hold'em, a little bit of checking, see what your opponent's doing, getting a basis understanding of what you need to do for the future.
We continue to watch these drivers battling for second, third, and fourth, and again, Antonelli continues to just draw closer and closer. You know, I always also wonder sometimes about when a driver's first win will come. We saw a first win in the BRB Racing League on Tuesday evening at Homestead Miami Speedway. It has to be on your mind, right, Zach? Francesco Antonelli, could he get his first win here tonight in the feature when they invert? He'll have that positioning, so long as they finish where they are now, he'll have that positioning over guys like Thorsten Ulrich and Yannick Steinhoff. So if he hangs on to that could be huge.
Well, I think if you're Antonelli right now, you're really liking what you're seeing, the fact that you can keep up with these guys and the fact that you can run some of these guys down. So if you're in front of them, in front of the invert, you know that you have the same pace as them, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little worse. You're just gaining that understanding of what your car needs for the feature or what you need for the feature. But I think if you're Antonelli right now, you're really liking what you see. You're able to keep up with Yannick, able to keep up with Paulo, and able to pretty much run similar lap times to Thorsten Ulrich. So I think if you're Antonelli, you're very, very pleased with how this first heat race is, with how this heat race has ran out so far.
problems recently for Tomek Jankowski. He's working out of the pit lane. He's actually on an out lap. He just pitted, it seems. So he'll get back out onto the racetrack here. He is down in the 28th position. All 32 cars are still running as there's problems now for Alex DeMarco off the racetrack. We have not seen many incidents. I haven't seen timing and scoring light up much for drivers dropping down the order like that. But a problem there for DeMarco. He will slide back to 8th. That relieves some pressure off of Dean Kerr as we get the white flag. You see Thomas Rayleigh slow in the background. So white flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Problems here this lap again. Mark Booley back there in the grass out of Coppice, as there goes Thorsten Ulrich with the race lead.
I love the differing of tracks that we've been able to see here throughout the season for NARL. We've seen a road course built into an oval. We've seen a couple street courses, and we still have a couple street courses to come up. We've seen tracks like this where there's just really no runoff, where you have to be precise. It's starting to show the character of a lot for these drivers, as far as maybe not skill level, but just track understanding and how they like tracks versus tracks that they don't like. And obviously Thorsten Ulrich's been good at all of them, as we see driver come down pit road right here, getting ready to come down for the checkered flag. Thomas Rayleigh come down pit road. I don't know if he's got a time penalty. I don't know if that was a pit stop, but Thomas Rayleigh coming down pit road. But Thorsten Ulrich here getting ready to take the checkered flag in the heat race. Like I said, Andrew, the differing of tracks that we've seen in NARL have not disappointed.
Last second possibility here for Steinhoff. He will sit behind Paulo Gunay off of the final corner. Here goes Thorsten Ulrich with the race win for the heat race, the sprint race here at Donington Park. It'll be Ulrich over Gunay, Steinhoff, Antonelli, and Fleming. Back in the 10th spot, though, here comes Andy Ray Miller.
Andy Ray Miller able to hold off Sam Soyd right there towards the end. Sam Soyd going to bring it home in 11th. Back behind him, Ricardo Delgado and Sven Hartman will be also crossing the line behind them. I think as of right now, Miguel Colon's going to be sitting in that 15th position. He's going to be running off first in the heat race. So that's a D1 driver that's going to be spearheading our feature race as the drivers continue to cross the line to finish up the heat.
I think Armando Aarons, the points leader of Division 2, who finishes 3rd here in class, but 16th overall, will forever be kicking himself. What could have been if he had been one spot higher when this checkered flag came out, as Barney continues to wave that flag here on the flag stand camera. There goes Thomas Rayleigh. That will complete the sprint race here this evening at Donington Park. So we'll take a moment. These guys will go into a quick warm-up session, 5 minutes, I believe, the length, and sure enough, 5 minutes of warm-up there is on the clock. These guys have a chance to make any last-minute steering adjustments. That's really all you can do, Zach. I mean, these guys are running fixed setups. What does that mean exactly?
Well, the fixed setup, essentially, Andrew, is pretty much a setup already preloaded into the session. Every driver has to run the exact same setup. The fixed setup is very difficult just because it might play into some benefit for some drivers, which it might not for some others. And I think this kind of alludes back to what I was talking about as far as the differing in tracks. Some setups are going to be beneficial to some drivers at certain tracks, where at certain tracks it's not going to be beneficial to other drivers, and everybody's on the exact same setup, which I think makes what Thorsten Ulrich, Yannick Steinhoff, what some of these guys up front do is so impressive, because they're on the exact same setup as everybody else. There's really no setup advantage, so that's essentially what the fixed setup is, and I think that's what makes the racing in NARL just so much better than a lot of others that we've seen.
So drivers are hitting the racetrack here. Let's go over what's upcoming here at Pit Stop TV briefly. That's the wrong graphic. Hang on. There we go. Let's bring that down. Up next for us here at the channel, we head out to New Smyrna Speedway this Sunday evening, August the 17th, for the Major Series, as they head off to their next round of their 2025 campaign. It'll be round number 8 of 12. As we get our next oval race on the map. There are a lot of road racing, a lot of oval racing, a good mix. We had Le Mans for the 2.4, then the Le Mans 24, the Majors 24 that is. Then we went straight to Miami with some Indy cars on the oval, another oval race here, and then we're going back road racing, I believe, in September for Petit Le Mans. But some great rounds coming up for the Majors series this weekend, though. Super late models for the Americas region heading out to New Smyrna Speedway. Tuesday, we kick off the chase with the BRB Racing League and the Butt Kicker Cup Series as we head out to Nashville Super Speedway, a fantastic little racetrack, 1 mile and a third. It's tight quarters, rough and tumble. It is a really cool place to race on August 19th for the BRB Racing League and their Butt Kicker Cup Series. Then Wednesday, we kick off a 2-day venture with only short tracks and the Impel Motorsports National Tour for the Semi-Auto Racing Association. We are at Oxford Plains Speedway in Oxford, Maine for the Sarah Oxford 250, brought to you by Only Short Tracks. More about that later on next week. A lot of great races coming up here, Zach, and you know what we don't see on this graphic is the next race for the North American Racing League. That will come on August the 28th, so in 2 weeks' time, 14 days' time, at the Portland International Raceway. A brand new track for us here at the channel, a brand new track for the league as well. In fact, 2 new tracks for the league. I think 3 actually in a row. The league has been to Charlotte before with the Porsche Cup cars. I don't think the GT3 series has ever been to Donington, to Portland, or to Chicago. Certainly not to Portland, Chicago. We also added in Mugello this season that was brand new. We have, I think, five tracks on this schedule that are brand new as far as GT3 goes, 4 that are brand new to the league. That's really impressive. We've got a bunch of them here in a row right at the back end of the season. Donington Park tonight, Portland in 2 weeks, Chicago in 3 weeks, and then Zolder in a month.
Yeah, and again, it just goes to show how impressive some of these guys are at some of these tracks. I mean, with these GT3s going to new tracks, that you don't really have a base, you don't really have a notebook, so to say, as far as an understanding of what you need to do at these tracks. You're pretty much going in with a clean slate and pretty much using that practice time as a far of building up a notebook or building up some sort of rapport with the track. So to have 4 new tracks come onto the schedule, I think is just a great selection of tracks, especially to start the season, to end the season, especially right in the middle of the season too, where points start to matter. Obviously, points matter each and every week, but when they actually start to matter coming down towards the end of the season. So I think with the 3 new tracks, especially to GT3s, to NARL, Donington, Portland, Chicago, I think that's going to be really, really good racing and a lot of points upset coming into Zolder right there for the season finale in September. And
I don't know how much Scott wants me to say, but I want to hype something up real quick. There are some plans for the fall of 2025. I'm going to squash any expectations for a new season the rest of the calendar year. It sounds like that's not going to happen, but Scott has got some plans. We're going to work on things behind the scenes. I can't say what, Zach, but there's some cool stuff happening the rest of this year. Some exciting things. Of course, the Sunday cash races are coming to a close in September as well. We've got a big grand finale planned for that on September 21st for the league, and that'll be exciting to see. They've been broadcasting that over on the North American Racing League channel. We were lucky to have one of those races here on Pit Stop TV back in July, but keep an eye on everything North American Racing League and Pit Stop TV here on our social media channels. Let's go over them here briefly. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and X. The league is on Instagram most notably and has a great Instagram following, so definitely keep an eye on everything North American Racing League and Pit Stop TV in the coming weeks. A lot of great stuff coming for this league very, very soon. But that'll do it as far as the mid-broadcast notes, if you will. Zach, let's get into the continuation of our coverage as we get ready to go racing for the second time. Here this evening, we have inverted the top 15, and we're ready to go racing for the feature here tonight. On the Lucky Performance starting grid, you'll find Miguel Colon in first, Scott Reister from second place. A very fun front row there. Sven Hartman from third place. Ricardo Delgado, he had the problem lap 1, but he is up there to start this feature race. He still finished 11th there. In other words, or I guess 12th rather, in the sprint. Starting 5th, Stamsoid. 6th, Andy Ray Miller. He, of course, won in Division 2. Eduardo Pecorini from 7th. Scott Kimbrough from 8th. Adrian Allshar 9th. And David Schwartz 10th. I'm going to bomb through the rest of these real quick, Zach. We don't have a lot of time. Johan Flemm, Francesco Antonicelli, Yannick Steinhoff, Paolo Godai, and Thorsten Ulrich. The remainder of the drivers who got inverted, that it's Armando Aarons in 16th, Chris Winstone, Dean Curry in 17th and 18th. They just missed the mark, all three of those guys, for the invert. Jake Brown or Kevin Peak round out your top 20. Starting 21st here for the feature, Lucas Souza, followed by Anthony Wayand, then Jose DeLeo and Alex DeMarco, 23rd, 24th. Row 13, Joshua Benjamin, Tomek Jankowski. He's got a lot of work to do ahead of Christian Gritzko and Edgar Ruiz. Finally, Bob Guadagnoli, Mark Booley, Billy Barrowman, and Thomas Rayleigh from the very back end of the grid here for our feature race. You get the drill at this point in time. Fixed setups. We've got a pit stop on the way. Let's go racing here from Leicestershire, England. It's Donington Park Castle. We're going racing. Out of the final corner, green flag will fly. We're racing once again in round 5. 3 wide through Redgate. That is scary stuff, but they sorted out a lot of light blue dotting those McLarens through the middle of the field there, and they all get it figured out. I am beyond impressed. 1 car wide. Hang on. Oh, that got scary.
Oh, we still got a car in the grass. In the grass, it looks like towards the back. Steinhoff in the grass.
He falls back to 18th.
And we've seen a couple harsh weeks for Yannick Steinhoff, especially last week. He didn't show up at Charlotte, and he had a last place finish in Canada. So I think this race is probably going to have to be a good points race for him. Obviously, already at the tail end of it. So Yannick Steinhoff right now already falling through a little bit. His teammate looked like Olshar had a little bit of an issue there as well, falling a little bit through the pack. I thought it was, we had one backwards going into the S's. I'm not for sure who that was, but somebody was definitely backwards
again.
Going into the S's.
Yannick Steinhoff will get back going here. He's got big problems. The car looks okay, but backwards is not how you want to be, of course. Scott Reister holds on to second. Sven Hartman holds on to third. There's Samsoid fourth. Eduardo Pecorini fifth. He could be a big threat for the win. Oh, never mind! He spins! He spins around and hits the wall. Eduardo Pecorini has got big damage.
Dropping already through the pack. Big time Eduardo Pecorini. Now, the good thing is he's going to have that quick repair to kind of bounce himself off of, try to get himself going back again, try to gain any kind of position.
Joshua Benjamin around. Big problems there. He's out into the grass. This is a chaotic way to get this race started. There are going to be penalties on the way, most certainly. Alex DeMarco through the grass at the Craner Curves into the old hairpin. What an insane start here to race 2 on the day. There goes Jake Browder. He was around there on lap 1.
Kevin Peak is going to be given a black flag, I'm guessing, for some of the incidents that were happening there. Kevin Peak black flagged by the NARL stewards. He's deemed at fault, so that's going to be a huge hit for Kevin Peak, as he's already in kind of a bit of a points battle for D2, so that's going to be a huge hit for Kevin Peak.
Oh, gosh. I apologize. I flipped over to B-roll. Thank you, Zach.
It's all good, brother. And no, it's all good. We all have those, brother.
I'll tell you what. That's a big F. That's a big L on me. Let's go back. Let's review the start of the race. I think that's the fairest way to do this. Let's go back. We have the time to do it. We have the technology to do it. Yeah. Let's watch here the start of this race. This is down to turn 1. This is the chaos we were looking at. Let's kind of just retrace our steps, shall we?
This is going to be where I think, where we were talking about Yannick having his issues off in the grass. He's going to be looking to, whoa, he just missed the corner there. No, his teammate missed the corner.
Well, so Yannick is the car that goes slow there.
Yeah.
That wasn't even teammate. They look so similar. They were teammates last season. I think that was Adrian Allshar that went off the racetrack. Or went to driver's right. Yannick went off driver's left. It's very confusing, I know.
Yeah, my apologies, but that was the incident for Yannick, and then obviously we had an incident at the back. I believe that was Johan Flamen having his issues at the back as well, but this is where some of the further issues for Johan was going into the S's.
Watch here. This is not the problem for Johan Flamen. Hang on, who was that? I see why Kevin Peak has been penalized. So we're going to diagnose everything that happened lap 1. I messed up, admittedly. I screwed up big time. So we're going to try and show you everything that happened there and then some. This is going to be Tomek Jankowski, actually. That's who that was. That makes a lot of sense. So watch the silver, metallic, and blue 11. He sends it there on Kevin Peak and comes across. Peak comes back onto the racetrack, or tries to, and he slams into Jankowski. That is the penalty there. And I don't think Kevin Peak appreciated that penalty one bit, because he drove all the way through Jankowski. He was clearly frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, just a little bit of hard racing right there to start the race, and already to have a penalty already like that. So, especially in the heat points battle, yet just a little bit of a send already in the dirt, try to get back on track, and just made contact.
And then for Yannick Steinhoff, watch all of this down to the S's. There was one car slow, that was Adrian Allstar. He had a moment there. Jake Browder spins around in the background. That's okay. But down into the S's here, 3 wide, and oh, that Mercedes came over. That was Dean Kerr, and Steinhoff got the short end of that stick. Oh my goodness, that's going to damage the underbody of the car.
He's able to get it back rolling. He's going to be really slow through that sand, but yeah, he probably did damage to the car. I'm looking at it now. NARL stewards deemed Dean Kerr at fault for that incident. So Dean Kerr also going to have to come down pit road. I believe he's already served it, but he had to come down pit road for this black flag incident.
He has served it. That is a huge blow for somebody who needs points in division number 2. Here's a closer view, so we're going to slow it down. Watch the 3 wide you're seeing on your screen. Steinhoff gets a run here on that metallic blue ride car. That's on the left side of your screen. Dean Kerr is that Mercedes that comes over and squeezes that moment. And they could have got by. I think Yannick reacted a little aggressively, and he was just instinct, right there. He was just moving over out of instinct. He saw a car get close. He moved over. Unfortunately, they ran out of room, but I understand why the admins put that on Dean Kerr, even though maybe they could have got by, and maybe you could make the case that is on Steinhoff. I definitely get the admin thought process there as to what went on. So that is everything that happened with all of that. Then what I was yelling about and going on about was Eduardo Pecorini. Watch this out of the final corner. He's right up on Ricardo Delgado. And frankly, Zach, I thought he was in a great spot to maybe go for the win in this race.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened here. Pecorini, very late braking, was able to get to the inside of, I think you said Delgado there, and trying to take position. Does take position, was clean out. Maybe just a little bit too hard on throttle, deep into braking yet again for the final corner. Just a little bit too hard on throttle, takes that right rear, puts it in the pit road wall.
On board with Eduardo now. He has rejoined the field in 28th position. You see Ricardo Delgado in his mirror. He got by, made that pass. He was into 5th. Following Samsoy, caught grass. I think that's what did it. He got grass on his tires. That on top of the cold tires, man, that is a recipe for disaster. Oh my goodness, that is terrible luck. And, we had a big commentator curse moment in the BRB race 2 days ago at Miami. That, because of when I shouted Eduardo out, that is almost worse. You have to go back and watch it from a couple of days ago at Miami, but that is maybe the new worst case I've ever seen of commentator curse. I'm saying maybe this guy can go for the win, immediately spins around.
Well, and I guess the water half full type of situation that he has there was he was already in pit lane. He could come down, take his quick repair, and get going again, and still a lot of time in this race to gain, and a lot of time left in this race to be able to gain on people, as we see a battle right here coming out of the S's. But Pecorini obviously out of it as far as the race win, not out of it as far as position. Whoa. As we see right here, big dive here from, I believe that was Kimbrough coming in to follow Schwartz to pass Delgado there for a little bit. Kimbrough still on the outside of Delgado. Looks like everything's going to iron themselves out. It's going to put him back in harm's way of Paulo Gadai here, stuck behind him.
Thorsten Ulrich has gone fastest. Thorsten runs in the 4th spot, only 2.4 seconds back of the race leader. This is watching the battle for about 7th and 8th position on the racetrack, actually leading off with David Schwartz, who runs in 7th. Sven Hartmann runs ahead of these guys. He's in position to maybe win in division number 2. He's got a 7-second lead on Andy Ray Miller right now, and that is holding for the time being. Andy Ray Miller just did not get the start he needed, got stuck back in traffic, and is mired in the 14th spot overall. Armando Aarons right behind him. That is not what he needs. Andy needs to keep outscoring Armando big time if he wants to get that points lead away. Meanwhile, Sven Hartmann, this could, hang on. Andy Ray Miller loses that spot to Armando Aarons. That's going to be everything he does not need. But back to my
Sven
point
Hartmann, hold on, I'm sorry to cut you
Yep.
off, Andrew. As Sven Hartmann in the wall, coming out of the corner that we saw a bit earlier, coming into the S, is Sven Hartmann in the wall.
That was out of Coppice. Let's see what happened to him. He was ahead of Samsoid, who was running in 5th, or no, I guess was 6th. Just loses it. Wow.
A little bit too much wheel, maybe a little bit too much throttle. Doesn't look like a lot of damage to the front end of that BMW. Maybe a little bit, but I think Sven Hartmann's still in good running as of right now. Obviously, he's going to drop down the leaderboard, probably behind Andy Ray Miller and Armando Aarons. Sven Hartmann was really needing that if he wanted to put himself into a position battle as far as points go.
Yeah, that was going to be everything he needed. As graphics failure on us here. That's okay. We'll get those rebooted here in just 1 second. But Sven Hartmann needed that and everything else to go his way here this evening, because he's in a decent spot, but he really could have used that to go the right way.
He definitely could have used that to go the right way. But, yet again, I mean, just a little bit of a slide. Still a lot of racing to go. We're just under 30 minutes in this race. So it's still a lot of racing. A lot of stuff could happen. If it could happen to Sven, it could happen to anybody else. So now it's just a matter of getting your mentals back right. I think right now Sven just got to keep his head down, keep chugging along.
Getting graphics reset here on the broadcast side, and well, let's go ahead and turn that timing tower back on and see where everybody lies, because this is a very interesting situation at this point in time. We've got 4 cars at the front of the field lined up, all about 1.5 seconds apart total. Samsoid is not far back at his home track of the season, but the focus is going to be on these top 4, I think, for a while now. Look at how close they are through turn 1, and Ulrich, who's certainly the fastest of them all, is kind of sitting back. He's the furthest back of these guys. I think he's waiting for his opportunity, and frankly, Zach likely waiting for the pit stop.
And I think what we've seen so far, Andrew, is just the difficulty in passing. There's really, I wouldn't say there's a lot less passing zones, but with how quickly you have to get through these corners, especially again through corners 1 through 7, 1 through 8 right here, pretty much up into the S's, you really don't have a lot of passing opportunities. If you put yourself in a bad situation, we see what happened with the Yannick there. You put yourself in one bad situation and you're all the way back down the leaderboard. So I think right now Thorsten is just trying to choose his battles, but he also has to be mindful, because if he gets held up just a little bit, this could bring a lot more drivers into this battle. Obviously, we've seen the top 4 just kind of group up. If any of them slow down to where Thorsten can't get around any of these guys, is going to bring a lot more into this battle.
So your top 4 under a blanket as they work through the Melbourne hairpin. I love these top-down views from the blimp like this. This shows a big move in the background, actually. That's what it shows as Scott Kimbrough goes on Francesco Antonicelli, maybe the other way around, actually. And I think Antonicelli had the inside on Kimbrough there in the hairpin. And now in the second hairpin, it's going to be Kimbrough back on the inside of Antonicelli. Of course, we talked so much about Antonicelli in that sprint race, Zach. He looks great, but he has not managed traffic well here in the feature.
Yeah, Antonicelli, he had kind of the positioning for pretty much since that invert. He had the positioning, just hasn't been able to fire off as well as he had probably hoped. He is still in the top 10, so it's still a decent points day as of right now for Antonicelli, but obviously wants to be further up with the likes of Thorsten and everybody up front. So again, still a lot of racing. We're not even halfway yet. Still a lot could happen, but Antonelli kind of mired back here, pretty much the back end of top 10, the back end of the top 10, if you will.
Up ahead of these guys, Paulo Gonai side by side now with Ricardo Delgado. Great position battle here. This is for 7th on the racetrack. Gonai on the left side of your screen, Ricardo Delgado on the right. Delgado still got it. Oh, that was close. Delgado very sure-footed there into the S's, and that even backed Gonai up to Kimbrough. Kimbrough's going to back up to Antonelli as Gonai has got the run on the inside here for the hairpin.
Did I use that block just a little bit to lay off a little bit? Use that run through the S's. A tap from Lucas Souza into Kimbrough, I believe that is. Kimbrough has to be slow now, trying to get back up to speed. Souza with a little bit of a tap to the left side, maybe dove it in a little bit too hard, trying to take advantage of a little bit of a misfortune for these drivers. Souza was trying to take advantage, yep, just a little bit too hard, gets into Kimbrough. I believe all is well. Souza stopped to let Kimbrough regain it. I don't think that's going to be anything. Well, as I say that, NARL deems Souza at fault. Souza's going to have to come down for black flag.
Pit stop here for Adrian Allstar, followed up by Tommy Kinkowski. So the Ride SimSport drivers that are mired in the back of the field, they are pitting here early, right at the very edge of the pit window to get their stop in and get back on the racetrack as quickly as possible at the race lead. Miguel Colon continues to lead. It's going to be hard to upset that 87 car. When he gets out front, he usually stays out front. It's going to be very difficult for him to move out of that race lead spot, but if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the driver in 4th place, Thorsten Ulrich. 5 wins already this season through 4 rounds. He is likely to move up there and get this win once again. He just keeps getting these masterful starts and moving up front so quickly. It just makes it so much easier on him the rest of the way. But as you mentioned, Zach, that penalty for Lucas Souza, he should be serving it this time by. He's currently 12th. There he is. We'll take his onboard here. And we should see a pit stop from him, a penalty serve from him this time by.
Now, if he comes down pit road to take pit box, does that count as the penalty, or does he have to serve a drive-through? I'm not familiar with that rule. He stays out this time, but Souza, I'm not going to speak too much on it. Obviously, Souza did get in a little bit too hot. He got into Kimbrough. He turned Kimbrough around. Kimbrough was able to get it back going straight. Souza was stopped on track to let Kimbrough regain it. Obviously, I think he knew he was at fault, so it's just tough to see the black flag there for Souza. I was going to highlight him there for a little bit. He started 21st. He pretty much ran himself back into the top 10. He just, obviously now it's just going to be a really rough race as we take a look now. Sven Hartman in pits probably for his scheduled stop. Very cockeyed in his pit.
He is a little cattywampus there, but he will get back going, and it was a pretty normal pit stop time for him, 13.47 seconds. For Souza, though, he will have to serve that penalty here very soon. And that Aerokinetics driver, I wanted to shout him out this evening because if you look at the standings down in Division 1, he has moved up from about the top 12-ish to the top 8. So from about 12th position to 8th or so, he keeps getting further and further up the order. This is going to heavily impact him, and he might still be able to pass Jankowski because Jankowski's had a worse day, but he likely won't get very close to Souza.
We had an incident up front, Andrew. I'm sorry. Miguel Colon goes for a spin. Scott Reister has to take evasive action. Scott will tow, but that's going to lead Johan Fleming and Thorsten Ulrich up to the front.
Well, back into replay mode we go. Let's see what happened back there in the final corner. I just said it's going to be hard to move Cologne out of the lead. Johan Fleming on the inside of Scott Reister there into the Melbourne hairpin. Watch that side by side. That's Reister on the inside of Fleming. And Fleming just moved over. Reister then got deep into the corner and he was trying to get that spot back. He ends up straight lining into the back end of Miguel Colon. That is a huge upset at the front.
Yeah, that's going to flip a lot of things right back on its head, but that's going to give the lead to Johan Fleming. The NARL stewards deem Scott Reister at fault. Obviously, we saw him tow, so I don't know if we're going to see him back out on track if he's going to serve that penalty, but right now, back up front, Johan Flamen in front of his teammate Thorsten Ulrich, and we've seen Johan try to take advantage of a little bit of Scott Reister there, try to get into his inside in this corner. I think Johan's got the pace. I don't know if he's got the pace to hold up Ulrich just a little bit, but he's obviously got the pace to run with Thorsten.
Clarification, by the way, Zach, we have learned that you cannot pit with a black flag. So unlike the iRacing procedure where you can pit with a black flag and just take extra time, you cannot pit during a black flag, it sounds like, from the admins here. You must serve the drive-through alone. So there we go. Thorsten Ulrich also making that pass for the lead. He has moved up into position number 1, right where we've expected him to be now. He's already got 6 wins after that sprint race win. This would make it 7 in 5 rounds of racing. Of course, 2 wins a night are possible. So in 10 races total, he's about to have 7 of them. That's 70% of the league if he can hang on for 20 more minutes.
Well, the league's name, the North American Racing League, and like you alluded to earlier, Andrews, some of the Germans coming in and kind of upsetting the Americans. So right now, obviously something working for Thorsten, obviously to take the lead. Francesco Antonicelli down pit road. I believe this is for his scheduled stop. You see Dean Kerr also back here for his scheduled stop, and Miguel Colon for his scheduled stop. Probably to take a little bit of the damage that he incurred from Reister there. Coming out of the final corner. Well, I say that. He's been in pit road for quite a little bit. So, Miguel Colon either taking damage, taking fuel.
The time matches lane time and box time. Usually that lane time is longer because they enter the lane then take a while to get to their box. That lane time and the box time being the same indicates that he towed to the pits, and he will likely be done. Another car into the pit lane. It is Scott Reister, actually. He towed, has taken the tow, and is heading back out for points.
Trying to get as many points as he can. I mean, I respect that move. Obviously, again, you're not going to be able to win the race from everything that has happened, but any little point is going to be huge for Scott Reister. So I appreciate that move just to get out there and get as many points as possible. As we see Christian Gritzko come down pit road here, we haven't really talked about him a lot. We talked about him at Sebring, we talked about him a little bit at Canada, but the last few weeks have kind of been off weeks for Gritzko. He's coming down pit road 4th in D2, going to take his pit stop with Billy Bowerman in tow right behind him taking his stop.
A lot of pit stops now. Mark Booley is in. Hearing that Booley and Guadagnoli are working on big days. Guadagnoli, just for example, started 29th. He's up to 19th. Outlasting drivers, make that 18th. Now, he's still got to make a pit stop, so that could still drop, but a solid start to the day for Bob Guadagnoli. When he really needs it in the point standings, he could have a career day going on here at the Donington Park circuit. So we'll move back up towards the front of the field and check back into Thorsten Ulrich. Here he is, heading into the final corner of lap number 15. Just beyond halfway through the race, and the Ride Sim Sport 55, double nickel if you will, is looking good out front, right where we've come to expect him. And Zach, if we go back to the point standings one more time, we are not used to this big of a gap. Usually it would be teens, maybe 20s or so. This is the largest points gap I can recall in the North American Racing League in a long time. Even if you want to say, oh, well, it's 4 rounds, but 8 races in that time, even at the end of the season, we don't usually see a points gap this large. So this is a really, really remarkable season that Thorsten is working on at this point, and this is just another addition in the saga that has been Thorsten Ulrich in the North American Racing League. I would bet there are going to be some drivers clamoring for him to be made into the Alien class, or you and I, we go to Champ Car events every once in a while, we know EC, basically exception class. That's what would fit for him.
I mean, 7 wins, 70% of the races that we've had so far that he has won, and it's not like they've been given to him. He's obviously had to drive himself up through the pack multiple times. We've seen him drive away in heat races, but have to come through 15 through Havoc pretty much each and every week without a dent or scratch on that car. So Thorsten obviously earning everything that he has earned throughout the season. So. I mean, what more can I say about Thorsten? He's just been the class of the field week in and week out. Obviously, the Ride Sim Sports guys have been the class of the field so far, but Thorsten Ulrich has been the class of both his team and the field.
Watching here from the speed shot on the front straightaway, Thomas Rayleigh has gotten close to Edgar Ruiz. This is a battle here for the 11th spot. There are 3 Division 2 drivers ahead of these 2 Division 1 guys. Let's talk about them first. Of course, we saw their issues there in the first race in the evening, Zach, and boy, do we very well documented the problems for Thomas Rayleigh and Eddie Ruiz. They came together, actually, an incident for the 2 of them, and then we even saw, I think, future incidents, I think, for Rayleigh the rest of the race, so they're both battling back from issues there in that sprint race. Rayleigh, in fact, finished dead last. He has come back through the field, and Zach, this could be a contender, actually, for driver of the day, and maybe even lucky break of the day to just get back through the field and get towards the front.
He's doing a really good job. As he looks to the right here, it looks like he might have the position. He's going to have the 2 next rights for him here, so he's going to be able to take the position. Thomas Rayleigh clears. And yeah, I mean, I can't agree with you more, Andrew. I feel like that's a very, very good pick for Lucky Dog, Lucky Break of the day. He's had to go to the back. He had a rough heat race. He had to go to the back for the feature and driven his way up. He started 32nd and just made another position to get up into 11th overall over Edgar Ruiz. So I driver of the day contention, I truly feel like, for Thomas Rayleigh.
Pit stops underway now at the front of the field. Ulrich, Flamen, Schwartz all in. There's Aarons in the background. He comes in. Andy Ray Miller, Jose DeLeo. Those 3 Division 2 cars all come in all at once. I was just about to talk about them next, as there you see Edgar Ruiz at the pit lane in the background as well. So Aarons, Miller, and DeLeo, who will win the race off the pit lane for them? Tires going on the Porsche of Andy Ray Miller. That is a shock to me. That's going to slow him down, and we've seen cold tires bite these guys tonight. So Armando Aarons, a big leg up in the pit lane. Jose DeLeo drives away. He should have the leg up over Andy Ray Miller, and Miller is going to sink back to 3rd.
I mean, if you're not going to beat the leader, you're not going to beat him doing the exact same thing the leader does. I think Andy Ray Miller here taking tires, obviously he's going to have to take a couple laps to try to get these tires up to temp, but him taking tires, I feel like, is going to be maybe not race winning as far as D2, but I think it's going to give him at least a chance. Again, you're not going to win the race if you do the exact same thing the leader does. So obviously right there, the tires bit him a little bit. He's going to lose a little bit more on his counterpart going forward, but I think as the race goes on, as we start to get closer to the end, I think we're going to talk about Andy Ray Miller here having a shot at the very least taking back 2nd.
I don't know, 14 minutes is not a long time to get those tires up to temp and actually use them, Zach. And oftentimes we don't see their best laps until they're lower on fuel with warmer tires. So frankly, I think this is a missed call by Andy Ray Miller. I'd love to be wrong for his case, but we'll see as Paulo Goday, Samsoid, Scott Reister's back in the pit lane. That was a tow, Zach. What happened to him?
For sure. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to Scott Reister. Obviously, was having a good run until that first incident, and then ever since then, it's just been downhill for Scott Reister. So let's take a look. Coming through the first hairpin there, coming into the final corner. I wonder if the car stepped out on him again.
Right along the right side, curbing into the final corner here. And he's going to actually bring it down and then likely pull into an early pit stall and then tow the rest of the way out. That's exactly what he does. Pulls into an early stall there and then tows up to the front of the pit lane. That is that for Scott Reister here today. Ricardo Delgado goes to work now on Paulo Goday. And, you know, Delgado's got a Division II championship not all that long in the past. To see him struggle this much in Division 1 has been agonizing, but here we go. A top 10 day in the works for him. He runs 8th. This could be the beginning of something brand new for Ricardo, something we've been waiting to see.
He's been running pretty good lap times. He's been running right there with Paulo Goday. Goday was right in front of him, or at least a position close to him. So Ricardo Delgado running a fantastic race as of right now. I don't want to broadcast or curse him, but he's running very, very well right there behind Paulo Goday.
By the way, Zach, I'm not sure if you've seen it. You probably have. It looks like disqualification is being handed out to Jake Browder and Kevin Peake. They are listed now as 22 laps down. We've only run 19 laps. So that basically is indicative of them being disqualified and being credited with no laps complete or even started here. So that is a problem for those drivers, those again being Browder and Peake. We'll follow up with that hopefully next time out at Portland and see if maybe we can shed the light on what happened next race when we come back in a couple of weeks. David Schwartz leaving the pit lane. He'll rejoin the field behind Tomek Jankowski. There's Jankowski. He has pitted, but 9 laps ago. That was, remember, right at the beginning of the pit window. It might work out for him, but I'll let you go ahead.
I'm not for sure what happened there, but you did highlight David Schwartz. He was given a black flag. I think that was him coming off pit road as a part of serving it. So David Schwartz handed a black flag.
You are absolutely right. There is Schwartz. You see the lane time, 15.2 seconds. You know, thankfully, this is one of the shorter pit lanes on the schedule, if not the shortest. It is rather compact. If we can get a good look at it, that's not a great look. We'll see it on the blimp when they come back around, but yes, it is a very short pit lane. This might actually be the best way to show it, moving up through the field a little bit. There's Samsoid, there's Johan Fleming, and Thorsten Ulrich. So pit lane begins there. Pit lane ends right about there. That is the shortest pit lane on the schedule, I do believe, this season in the North American Racing League. So that penalty still hits, Zach, but it's not nearly as detrimental as it would be at a place, say, like Road America, where it's a very long and slow pit lane.
I mean, time is still time. You're going to, I mean, obviously coming down pit road to serve a black flag, but you want... I guess if you're going to have it, you want it at this track where, like you said, pit lane, very compact, very quick to get through. 15 seconds, still nothing to scoff at just because of that's a lot of time to lose. But if you're going to lose time, it might as well be 15 seconds versus 45 to a minute.
Well, Zach, we're inside of 10 minutes to go in this race. You take a look there at Paulo Gunay chasing down Adrian Allshar. I'm going to change up the ticker a little bit. We're going to take a look at who has gained the most positions in this race. And I already know that Thomas Raley is going to be one of the most, if not the most, at 20 positions gained. He's in the top 10 after starting dead last, 32nd spot. So that position gained, he's actually not top 10. He's top 10 in class, but he is 12th overall. That's why it shows 20 spots gained for the driver that started 32nd. I'm going to go first. I don't usually do this. Usually I put my co-commentator on the spot, but I don't want to lose this opportunity to take Thomas Raley. I'm taking him. I'm sorry, Zach. He's off the table for you. Anytime I see a driver go this far back in the field and work this far back forward, that is big to me, and I want to give it notice.
No, I mean, and I feel like that's a really good pick because I was considering him as well just because of the troubles that he had in the heat race, having to go to the back for the feature, having to drive up through the field, through all that commotion, not even a scratch on that car as of right now. I feel like that's a really good pick as far as Thomas Raley, but another driver that I'm going to highlight, we're going to kind of leave Thorsten Ulrich out of this. That's the first time he's been out of this, but I'm going to highlight Paulo Gunay. Obviously, we were talking about him earlier in the race, in the heat race, as far as having a chance to get up through the field. In the feature, obviously wasn't able to, but he's still been able to manage a fantastic day. Oh, we had a car off right in front of him, but I'm going to have to highlight Paulo Gunay just because he had to start right there next to Thorsten Ulrich. Obviously hasn't got up as far as Ulrich has, but has been able to drive up through the field. Give me Paulo Gunay for D1.
And moving down to division number 2, oh man, this is a tough one. Armando Aarons is a great pick. Christian Gritzko is actually a great pick. He is up 10 spots into the 4th currently on the racetrack, 17th overall. I think that anybody between Armando Aarons, Jose De Leo, Andy Ray Miller, Christian Gritzko, the whole top 4 in that class, all great options. Zach, I'm actually going to defer to you. Now is when I'll put you on the spot. Who are you taking in Division 2 first?
Looking through it, I feel like, don't get me wrong, I think Armando Aarons starting P16, driving himself up into the top 10 as a Division 2 driver, mixing it up with the D1s, I feel like that's a really good pick, but I'm going to have to take Jose De Leo. He started further back, 23rd, P11 overall, P2 in the in Division 2, so I got to take Jose De Leo. He had to drive through the carnage as well. He's had to drive through, 11 positions to get up to this point and to put himself in position as far as P2 for Division 2. I'm going to have to take Jose De Leo as my pick.
So there you see Jose De Leo and his stats on the screen, and that Mercedes started 23rd up to 11th. That's certainly a good pick, right in front of Thomas Rayleigh, actually. Armando Aarons and Jose De Leo both in great positions overall. I'm going to... Let's see, Gritz goes up a lot of spots. I'm just going to go ahead and take Armando Aarons. I want to take Christian Gritzko, but Armando is just... How do you argue with this? The fact that he's up in the top 10 right now in Division number 2, well, top 10 overall as a Division 2 driver, and we haven't really looked his way very often yet this season, so I'm going to give him the nod. I'm going to take Armando Aarons and nominate him for Driver of the Day. That vote is going to go live now on YouTube. You can vote over on YouTube, only on YouTube, for the Driver of the Day vote. He's got Tommy Kinkowski breathing down his neck, but still a great day so far for Armando Aarons as he makes his way into the vote today. And if we go back up to the front, Zach, and kind of recap what's going on at the front of the field, Thorsten Ulrich has now got a 9-second lead. Remember, and I'd love to keep taking him for Driver of the Day, but it's kind of unfair at some point because this guy started 15th spot and fought through 14 cars, rode behind Scott Reister, Miguel Colon, and Johan Fleming for a long time, and then still, since the pit stop, has gapped these guys by 9 seconds and counting.
It's just, again, what more can you say about Thorsten Ulrich? He's just obviously putting everybody else, not to shame, but just putting everybody else on notice. Obviously, he put everybody on notice when he was able to go back-to-back in the last 3 races, really. So he's been able to gap his teammate Johan Fleming by about another second in that lap. The last time that we were talking about him, Johan gained a little bit there. Coming into the final 2 corners, Ulrich was almost 10 seconds up, back down to 9.5. But, I mean, what more is there to say about Thorsten? I mean, he's just been methodical. He's been very, very consistent with his lap times. He's just very, very impressive to watch this season, and the driver of Thorsten just lay it down each and every week. But right here with Samsoid, I was kind of considering him for my D1 driver of the day as well. Hasn't made a couple bad weeks as far as last week. He had a little bit of an issue at Charlotte, but he's been able to recover very, very nicely. Samsoid now in P3 overall and in D1. So I got to give a nod to Samsoid here for just keeping the car clean, keeping it up front. Hasn't been able to really mix it up with the front end drivers, but he's been able to keep that car up front nonetheless.
Read my mind, Zach. When I saw him 3rd place, I was very much considering him for Driver of the Day, but we know he can do it. It's just been a lot of bad luck for him. I want to see one more run like this, and then maybe I'll nominate him for Driver of the Day. I want to see this continue for Samsoid. I don't want to spoil a bad run, or I don't want to spoil a good run here for him with 4 minutes to go at Donington Park. And of course, it is his home racetrack as far as the season goes. Only track in the UK this season is Donington Park. So props to Samsoid. I guess he just got some extra time here, and it is clearly working out for him. But he does have Adrian Allshar, one of the hottest drivers in the league right now, on his back bumper with Paulo Godai right behind him. He has been nominated for that Driver of the Day look. Make sure to vote for your Driver of the Day today over on the YouTube chat and get that vote in here soon. Edgar Ruiz, Eduardo Pecorini, first couple of drivers outside of the top 10 in class in Division number 1. They ride here behind Andy Ray Miller. And Andy, of course, he has that win in the sprint race, Zach, but I don't know. He just has not been able to follow up on it. A couple mistakes maybe here in the feature race, and with 2.5 minutes to go, to be down 7 spots is not a great look.
Well, and I think too, just a matter of where he starts in those races, right? He started P7 in this feature race, and he was kind of in the middle of that hecticness, and it's really difficult. I'm guessing. I'm just kind of talking here. I'm guessing it's pretty difficult as a D2 driver to try to be making moves when you've got 4 or 5 D1 drivers trying to make 3 wide, 4 wide moves and make it work. So, I mean, I agree with you. I feel like the bad luck has kind of bit him a little bit, but I'm sure starting from where he has, it has been a bit of a difficult drive. But looking back up front now, we see Ulshar take the fight to Samsoid. Samsoid had the preferred line, but Ulshar's going to have it right here for the final corner. Samsoid might either have to give it up. Nope, Samsoid going to be able to keep the position. Ulshar going to keep his nose there. Samsoid gonna fall at the very least one position, but don't look now. Here comes Paulo Gadai to try to take over for that extra position there.
Yeah, that is. Oh, crash between those two. Adrian Allstar, massive impact there in turn number 1. And that car is not as it was before. That is a big, big incident, Zach. I'm going to be interested. Do we see a penalty for Samsoid? Let's go back and see what happened.
It looked like Samsoid was trying to get back over. Olshar was running a defensive line. Nothing wrong with that. Samsoid trying to get back over to the left. Maybe Olshar was trying to cut him off going into turn 1. I don't know. It looked like to me Samsoid already had the nose there. We're going to have to wait to see what the stewards say. But, defensive driving here from Olshar. Nothing wrong with that. Samsoid already to his left. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait to see what the stewards deem there. But as of right now, everything clear and green. But Paulo Gadai, the biggest benefactor of that, able to take P3 away from these two.
Watch this from Paulo's perspective. You see Samsoid make the move right here and get over, and Adrian moves over. That is definitely not on Samsoid, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I believe Samsoid already had the nose there, but he was already moving over to try to get the corner. It's not like he came over and caught Gadai. As we get this Whiplash SimCam's white flag, Thorsten Ulrich is going to take that white flag. He's got a couple more corners. We've seen a couple last lap heartaches, not heartaches, but just heart palpitations as far as Thorsten last week. Let's see if we get any more of them, but I don't know. I agree with you in the Samsoid aspect and the Samsoid incident. I agree that Samsoid is not at fault, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But we get to watch this masterclass of Thorsten Ulrich finish off yet another week of him being out in front.
Another round for the North American Racing League, another clinic put on, and another sweep, another broom broken out by Thorsten Ulrich, so long as he can make it back around the very back end of Donington Park Circuit. Just a few corners left to go. The S's, the Melbourne Hairpin, and Goddard's left to go for the double nickel. Ride Sim Sport, they have got it right now, that's for sure. Doesn't matter what driver they put on the racetrack, they're contending up at the front of the field. But for wins, consistently, it is the same name, the same car, out front, starting out front, dominating that sprint race, coming back through the field in the feature. Here we go out of the final corner. It's Goddard's to the line, and it is going to be Thorsten Ulrich at the stripe, wins yet again in the North American Racing League. That is win number 7 now in 10 total races. He has won 70% of the races overall this season, and we are just beyond halfway. Johan Flamen second to the line, Paulo Gadai third. It'll be Samsoid fourth, Ricardo Delgado, a very strong and surprising P5. Very good nod there to Ricardo. Sixth place for Kimbrough, Tommy Kinkowski, David Schwartz, 7th and 8th. And finally, here we go for his first win in the North American Racing League in class. Armando Aarons across the stripe will win in Division number 2.
Some of the drivers continue to funnel in. I gotta give a nod back to Jose DeLeo. He was catching Armando Aarons there just a little over 2 seconds behind, but again, Armando Aarons, very impressive win in D2 as some of the drivers funnel in to complete the feature here at Donington.
Here comes Anthony Wayand, rather, out of the final corner. A great week last time out at Charlotte. Not so great here tonight. He finishes 6th over Dean Curran, 7th in Division number 2. Francesco Antonicelli there to the line, and Mark Booley will be the final driver to finish this race here at Donington Park this evening. There is Booley in that black and red number 89. I love this look on this race car. Would love to see some sponsor decals across it, but a really nice looking number 89 as Booley will finish 23rd, and that will do it for us this evening as far as on-track product goes here at Donington Park. A proper clinic put on by Thorsten Ulrich yet again. It is going to be so hard to upset that man in any regard this season. He just keeps on winning here in the North American Racing League. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results here, Zach. Thorsten Ulrich on top. No surprise there. Sweeping the evening yet again in the North American Racing League. Johan Flamen 13 seconds back. There's some question if he had damage. I don't think he did. If so, it wasn't much, because I don't think he really made much contact there with Scott Reister, but it's a possibility. I won't rule it out, as Paulo Gonai will finish 3rd, Samsoid will finish 4th, Ricardo Delgado will finish 5th place. I cannot talk enough about Ricardo today. Maybe, looking back, maybe he should have been my Driver of the Day nomination. I can't change it now, of course, but Ricardo Delgado, he has had an abysmal couple of seasons since winning the Division 2 championship, I believe in season 6. Props to Ricardo. This is a solid day for him. One of his best runs ever to go top 5 here in Division 1, and overall, props to Ricardo Delgado over Scott Kimbrough, Tommy Kinkowski, and David Schwartz. And finally, down to complete your top 10, Armando Aarons will win in Division number 2 over Jose DeLeo. Jose keeps getting closer and closer to a win, but it doesn't come here tonight.
It doesn't come here tonight, but if he keeps pushing and pushing, he will likely pop it off. Thomas Rayleigh, again, we can't say enough about that. Starting pretty much dead last on the field, coming up to 11th, almost pops off of top 10 overall. A great run for Thomas Rayleigh. Edgar Ruiz right behind him. Eduardo Pecorini in 13th. Andy Ray Miller, you're right, Andrew. I thought those tires might come into play. He was able to hold off 3rd for as much as he could, but Andy Ray Miller will come home P3 in Division 2 and 14th overall. Lucas Souza is going to finish behind him in 15th. Chris Winstone, not the worst day for Chris Winstone. He just kind of right there in the middle of the pack, and we kind of highlighted him when he got moved up to D1. His first week in D1 wasn't the best, so he's just kind of gained a little bit momentum. He will finish P16. Christian Gritzko behind him in 17th. Sven Hartman, the Heartbreak, with his spin, will be finishing 5th overall in fifth in D2, 18th overall. Yannick Steinhoff was able to come back from his little bit of a spin, crack the top 20, 19th, and Anthony Wayan will finish out the top 20.
Finishing 21st, it'll be Dean Kerr, 2nd place in the point standings coming into tonight. This was not a good round for Dean. We'll see where he slots into things next week, or in 2 weeks, rather, at Portland. Francesco Antonicelli, not a great feature race, had a great sprint race, but problems here in the feature for Antonicelli. It'll be interesting to see as well where he slots into things in the points next time out at Portland. It'll be Mark Booley in 23rd. He was the final driver on the lead lap. Joshua Benjamin, we saw his problem. He got turned around early on in this race. He finishes 24th. Adrian Alshar, 25th over Billy Bowerman and Bob Guadagnoli and Alex DeMarco, who do finish the race. Scott Reister did not finish here this evening, I don't believe. Miguel Colon there in the 30th spot, and Jake Browder and Kevin Peak. For reasons we do not yet know, but of course we're valid to the admins. They were disqualified, it seems, from tonight's race and do not finish this evening, as very unfortunate for those couple of drivers. We ran 27 laps. It shows them 27 laps down, so I would guess again that they were disqualified at some point during the event. No drivers yet have reported to the interview booth, Zach, so I'm going to go round them up. In the meantime, let's take a look at what's upcoming next for this series. The last 3 races on the calendar.
Yeah, obviously we just got done with Donington Park. Next we go to Portland, Chicago, Zolder, but Portland is next. Now that we do have a week off next week, and then after that Portland, I think that's a good little give us a chance to run to the end. We went from Sebring, Canada, Charlotte, and England, and that's about a 4-week stretch there. Give these guys about a week off to take a breath, get their bearings, get an understanding of what they need to make a late season charge. But Portland's going to be next up, and I'm very excited for Portland. I've been seeing a lot of good racing at Portland, especially since it's new to the sim, so I'm very excited to see what Portland has to offer for these GT3. Charlotte was a very good race. I think it was also new to the NARL schedule, so a new track yet again. Portland on the schedule. I think it's going to be very, very good for these GT3 drivers and cars alike.
I'm excited for each of these races to the end of the season. It'll be a 3-week stretch, 3 races in a row, bing, bang, boom. I'm excited. Portland is a great racetrack. I honestly, I'm a little curious how it's going to race in GT3 cars. Chicago, that is a fantastic street course. I'm really glad NASCAR added it. Unfortunately, not on the schedule for 2026, hopefully back in 2027. It's become one of my favorite races on the calendar, and we have it coming up in the BRB Racing League very soon. We have it coming up now in the North American Racing League. I'm excited for Chicago on September 4th. That is going to be a very fun round. And then Zolder, the new remaster of that circuit, looks fantastic. That is going to be an exciting race and a good look race for us here for the finale. That'll do it though. As far as on track and now scheduled product goes, we can move on down and grab your race winner in Thorsten Ulrich. We've said that a lot this season. Race winner once again. How in the world do you keep doing this, Thorsten? You say that maybe you aren't too familiar with the racetrack, then you still go out there and dominate.
Yeah, putting in some practice. This time not too much actually. I had so lucky in the beginning of the feature race. Yannick was going off. Scott crashed out. Don't know who was it. We just got lucky. It's literally impossible to overtake here normally. I had a good qualifying. Just had the luck that I can control the race.
Well, Thorsten, once again, a swept night for you. You get both wins here this evening. I'm curious, you mentioned a little bit there that battle you had with Johan in front of you, but Miguel leading and Scott right behind him, then that incident there in Goddard's. If that incident had not happened, do you think you could have overtaken Miguel and Scott? I'd imagine, if it came to it, maybe Johan could have let you through, but if it came down to it, could you have passed those three cars outright?
It's super hard to overtake. The McLaren isn't the fastest out of the corners. Got off the Merc. It would be pretty hard to take. So you just don't have the grunt out of the corners, Merc, which you need here to overtake. But it would be fun.
Well,
Johan had some bad headaches in the middle of the race. Dropped off a lot of pace. Yeah, we were quite lucky that we had some contact.
Some contact for sure. Hey, sometimes it pays to be lucky. In this case, you get another win, get to extend that point lead some more. I mean, I don't know exactly what the clinch scenario is, but are you looking forward to maybe clinching this championship with a race to go, potentially not having to worry about Zolder?
I actually don't know. The next track I don't even own. I have to buy it now to put in some laps. It's very unfamiliar to drive here in Europe. Don't use that track that often. But well, if I can win the championship one race beforehand, I still will go for some track.
I'm glad you bring up the next track, actually. Portland is an IndyCar track and has a lot of local racing, and of course has the NASCAR Xfinity Series now, so it's kind of one of our American jewels that isn't used by too many big-time series, but I'm glad we're using it here this season. And then Chicago, that street course that NASCAR came up with in conjunction with iRacing. It sounds like you have no experience those two tracks at all?
Portland, absolutely no, none. I don't even own the track now at the moment. Chicago, I did some races, NASCAR, I think it was. GT3 experience on that track. I think I drove some IndyCar races on long time ago.
Well, Thorsten, best of luck to you these next couple of weeks. If there's anything these guys need, it's for you to have a challenge. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how you fare these next couple of weeks at Portland and Chicago. Then we'll see you at Zolder.
Thank you.
Thorsten Ulrich, another big night this evening. I'm going to have to keep working on the name pronunciation. I know I'm a little bit off there, but my American mind can only spin so many miles per hour in freedom units. But Thorsten, once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Good.
Oh, didn't mean to cut him off there, but Zach will send you on down to get Armando Aarons, who wins in Division Number 2.
I mean, speaking on Armando Aarons, obviously he had one heck of a race. Armando, I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about the heat race there coming towards the end of it, and especially for the start of the future. You were it looked like you were charging hard, trying to take that 15th position away to possibly take a front row for the future. Weren't able to do it. So talk to me a little bit about the start of the race. We saw a lot of havoc there. Obviously, you were able to make it through unscathed. We see a lot of D1 drivers go in and pretty much get pretty aggressive on the starts just because of, it just that's where positions are gained. What's it like from your view, especially at the start of the race where you're pretty much right in the middle of that, the hornet's nest, so to say?
Hey, how are you? Yeah, no, it's just avoiding chaos. Then that was my plan for both heats, and just try to avoid everything as much as I can. That's what I did for both heats. I feel like some of the guys were in front, but I saw them like crashing out. Like, I feel sorry for Sven. I saw him like he was just like a few seconds ahead, and then he crashed, and I'm like, oh man. So basically, just no crashing.
Well, no crashing. I feel like you did a pretty good job at that. We actually did see a lot of cars have trouble with handling as far as trying to get out of the corner and on the acceleration. Was that an issue that you were also kind of experiencing, trying to get back on the loud pedal? It seemed like a lot of cars were kicking out. Was that something that you were kind of battling? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the end, since it's 40 minutes, you can start to feel the tires just like kicking out. Like the car was kicking out. So yeah.
I mean, you were, pretty much sensational. You were able to get up into the top 10, pretty much mix it up with these D1 drivers. Now, I believe Andrew was saying that this is your first win. How long have you been in the league, and how much does this win pretty much like give you a boost for the rest of the season?
So this is like my first time on the league. I think I was in the podium at Sebring, like third, fourth, and I've been like always fighting in like the top 5, like just trying to see like something small happen. So, but this race went perfect. So it's like, I think the D2 like top 6, if you look at the championship, it's super close. So I think just finishing like top 5 all the time, that's the key on this. Like, I know it's a win, but some people crashed and stuff, so I'm not saying I did I guess I did the best not crashing, but there's some fast guys too in D2. So it's a tight championship.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier in the race, but we're glad to see you pop off the win, and we're glad to announce. We were talking about you throughout the race, and I believe it was Andrew who nominated for Driver of the Day, and we're happy to announce that you are the winner of the Driver of the Day conversation. So it's
nice.
Really cool to see you pop off both the win, Driver of the Day. A lot of people were looking at you and saying, "Yeah, this guy who did his best not crashing." So
yeah, thank you guys. Yep,
yeah, absolutely, man. Well, as we look forward, we've got a couple NASCAR tracks, so to say, in Portland and Chicago. What is your take on the remaining part of the schedule after this off week?
I think the first step for the coming tracks is to buy them. because I don't have any of them, and I have no clue how they look like. So that's my first step.
Well, fair enough. I feel like the first step is always the hardest to take, so we hope to see you. We hope to see you at those tracks, and hopefully we get to talk to you at the end of those tracks as well. So, Armando, we appreciate you jumping up here with us, talking with us a little bit. Congrats on your win, man. As awesome to see you come through the pack and, again, battle it out with the D1 guys and take home a D2 win.
Yeah, no, it was good. Thank you, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. I'm going to have a daughter tomorrow, first kid, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, congratulations, brother. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think I can squeeze some time, but I might be busy, so we'll see.
Your life is about to change. I can speak from experience. Congratulations, though.
Thank you. And shout out to Miguel Colon and some of the guys from SimPR, Ricardo, Edgar. We were on the same Discord. Feel so bad for Miguel, but he was doing good. But yeah, and then the guys from TPRT, my team, Hector Alvarez, he's injured, so that's why he's missed 2 races. But hopefully he'll be back soon.
Well, it's good to talk to you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies. Yeah, absolutely keep them in your prayers, and it's good to talk to you. As the winner for tonight, Armando.
Alrighty. Thank you, guys.
That's Armando Aaron's position number 1 at the end of the day in division number 2, and good to talk to him for the first time, Zach, and always good to talk to a driver for the first time in the North American Racing League, meet somebody that we haven't talked to yet, so congratulations to Armando Aaron's. He gets it done here in division 2 for the first time. I want to look at that point standings coming into tonight and theorize a little bit. Armando, pretty solid sprint race. Of course, won the feature race. He should hold on to the points lead. Kevin Peak disqualified from the feature race tonight. He's going to drop big time. Anthony Wayan did not have a great day. Andy Ray Miller won the sprint race. Kind of not what he wanted for the feature. Not bad, but not what he wanted. Ryan Passage was not here tonight. Christian Gritzko had some problems. Alex DeMarco had some issues. Billy Bowerman wasn't up the order. Dean Kerr, though, I left him off intentionally. He had a great day going, and it kind of went sour with that penalty in the feature race. I'm going to be interested to see how many points Armando is up, because I think, Zach, he is going to be well ahead going into the next round at Portland in 2 weeks' time. I do believe he's going to have a healthy points lead.
I do agree. So talking with Armando, with him not having the track just yet, I think him having a healthy points lead is going to be beneficial for him going into Portland with him not experiencing the track just yet. So like you saying, just everybody that was immediately under him having having a bad day or having a sour race. So I think with him taking this win, that's a huge points jump, and that's gonna pretty much vault him into a pretty good position heading into the final 3 weeks.
Well, a big thank you, of course, goes out to Maradness, to JS Consulting, and to Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. Thank you so much for being here and helping us out with this series. Of course, this league would not be what it is without these partners on the left side of the screen. Maradness, of course, has been a long-time partner, almost, I think, maybe the longest-time partner of the series. Has been around for seasons on seasons, of course, as we worked, I think, the 12th season of Racing the Total between Porsche Cup, Sunday Fun Racing, and GT3 Racing. I mean, this is impressive how much Maradness has been around for all of these and how much they continue to do. We also want to give a big thank you to, of course, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, and Zach. My graphics locked up at the very last second. Hang on, they might be back. I'm going to try to revive them here. No, they just crashed. So bear with me for a second. I guess I'm going to ask you quickly, Zach, a brand new track to you. What was your favorite part of the night?
I think just the overall racing. I just a lot of elevation change, a lot of speed in the track, a lot of uncertainty, just because we didn't know what to expect as far as what that speed and what that elevation might bring to the table. So I think Donington, again, the first time taking a look at Donington, I think it produced a lot of great racing. We heard from some of the drivers it was difficult to pass. You pretty much had to wait on bad luck. But then again, I feel like every track pretty much in the UK is going to be difficult to pass at. So I think Donington should be considered for future schedules. I don't know if it's going to be a part of the next season schedule, but I think it should be considered for the next schedule or for future schedules, just because of the speed and racing that it produced. It produced a lot of mind games over just straight racing. So it was cool. It was really, really fun to see how these drivers attacked it and what different lines and what different strategies had to take place in order to gain positions, in order to put yourself in a quality position. So Donington, it gets a thumbs up from me.
Well, Zach, it was a whole lot of fun here this evening at Donington Park. I'm glad it was on the schedule. But next up for us, we head out, of course, to New Smyrna Speedway with the Major Series. We talked about this a little bit earlier, so we'll bomb through it quickly. New Smyrna coming up on Sunday. Tuesday, we head out to Nashville. Wednesday and Thursday, we're Oxford playing Speedway in Oxford, Maine for the Impel Motorsports National Tour with the only short tracks, Oxford 250 and Oxford 125. Even we have preliminary racing and a late model stock race on Wednesday, and then the big 250 lapper on Thursday evening. Make sure to tune in for those. Those are going to be a lot of fun while we have our week off for the North American Racing League. We get a race in there for some short track racing, so it's a lot of oval coming at you very quickly, Zach, and a lot of places to watch.
a lot of places to watch. You can follow us, or you can visit our website, pitstoptv.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/pitstoptv. Even on Instagram, where we post highlights and reels of all the racing that we've seen through NARL, through some of the ovals, BRB Butt Kicker, Sarah now getting ready to pop up, and the major series. So follow us on Instagram /pit_stop_TV, TikTok pitstoptv1, Twitch at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. Obviously, if you're following us on YouTube, you know exactly where you are, but in case you're not, youtube.com/pitstoptv1, and on x.com/pitstoptv_. That's the best places to follow us, get all the information that you need for upcoming series and races, and who knows, you might be in some of those races, so we might be broadcasting what you got to offer.
And I hear that Tuesday race for at Nashville for the BRB Racing League, Zach, I hear that's going to be music themed. Of course, it is Music City, and I do hear there might be a Shinedown paint scheme in the race. So
you'd love to see it.
Yeah,
you'd love to see it.
Hey, I'm pulling the strings that I can. We've got Luke Combs in the works, Shinedown, M&M. I'm working on 3 different paint schemes for 3 different drivers for that event. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're trying to make it a music kind of race. Make sure to tune in for that. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time here at Pit Stop TV. Hopefully on Sunday evening for the major series at New Smyrna. Otherwise, we'll see you all next time for the North American Racing League at Portland on August 28th.